Hello everyone, I'm Mia Shecker, and today I'm going to be talking about violence in video games and how it affects younger children who play these video games, and also attention loss and desensitization that kids can experience while playing video games. And I'm also going to be talking about my own personal experience from this from my brother Johnny, and I tested out some attention span loss tests on him to see if he would pass or fail from before playing video games and after, and I'm going to go into depth about what happened. So for this project, I looked up many sources, reliable sources, that have conducted some research on children and their brain activity and whatnot on video games and if it has caused any violence to them. And the first source that I'm going to start out with is from Michigan Youth Violence Prevention Center from Michigan College. And this source talks a lot about how violence has not stemmed from video games in younger children, well, at least the ones that they have tested. And a quote from this article is that there's been a decline in violent behaviors and an increase in video game playing, end quote. Another good point that they make is that video games tend to show kids that this is fake and none of it is real, like it is not okay in real life. So it prevents kids from wanting to do this in real life and doing the things that they see online. However, they then go on to say that video games are not necessarily preventing violent behaviors, but it does say that it can increase violent behaviors. However, that is not the only information that they provide. They then go on to say, from a counterpoint, that video games can increase bullying and some violent behaviors. However, it is not very typical of that. They then go on to say that there's not a specific solution to this problem because, yes, you can restrict children from buying these games and playing them. However, if the parent goes and buys this game for their child without knowing what it is and their child convinces them, there's really no stopping them if the parent doesn't know or if the parent doesn't care and continues to let them play these games. My second source is from Harvard Health from Harvard College, and Harvard begins to open up their article about their opinion on the worst possible thing that video games can do to children, and I quote, "Children becoming desensitized to violence." This basically means that whenever a child sees something violent in person or on a video game, they don't really care and it has no effect on them. This basically means that whenever a child sees something violent, they will not have empathy towards what is going on and they simply will not care and go on and look at it as a regular everyday thing. And that can be terrible with school shootings, violence, robberies, just illegal stuff and violent stuff. Continuing on Harvard Health, they also go on to put some good points in their article on how to protect your child from seeing these things and playing these video games, like looking up what type of games they are, what the video games contain, and what they're about. They also go on to recommend other entertainment options like kids YouTube or just some fun games on an iPad or something, or also in real life stuff like playing outside. Overall, this article really shows you the bad side of things and how big of a problem desensitization can be, and also good alternatives to not wanting your kids to play violent video games. My next source is Desensitization in Violent Video Games, Mechanisms and Evidence by Jean Brockmeyer. This article also talks about desensitization and how it can really affect your child. I'm going to read off of the website. Desensitization, the reduction of cognitive, emotional, and/or behavioral responses to a stimulus, is the automatic and unconscious phenomenon often experienced in everyday life. Exposure to violent media, especially violent video games, may cause desensitization to real-life violence. So this is saying that there are many risks to desensitization, like I already stated, and it also talks about the effect and risks for parents to watch out for. The Health Effects of Video Games in Children and Adolescents. This source talks a lot about how childhood and play has developed over the years, from switching to outdoors to electronics, and how many children really rely on technology for entertainment, and how their attention span can be cut down very little due to watching videos and all of these things online. It also goes into a lot of depth on how technology and video games can really affect a child's personality and their character, how they act and function in society. This article really hit me hard because my brother John, he did not start playing video games until about a year ago, and before he was still on electronics and tablets and stuff, unlike me growing up. Now my brother, if he has a choice, he would rather sit inside and watch videos and play games instead of going outside. However, before he was introduced to video games, he would like to draw on a whiteboard or do puzzles. However, now if he has the choice, he would rather play video games instead of actually interacting with people at home. And my last and final source is by Isabella Granick, The Benefits of Playing Video Games. So this source goes into a lot of depth of how it can improve motor and social skills, along with trying to derail the vast majority of opinions that think video games are all violence and terrible. This article also goes on to summarize the research on the positive effects of playing video games, which is 4 main domains: cognitive, motivational, emotional, and social. They then go on to say that playing video games and using these 4 main domains may foster real-world psychological benefits. Overall, I would say that there are pros and cons to playing video games, and there's no specific solution to get kids away from the violent side of video games while also getting them the positive side. Solutions I would recommend are playing PG-13 games and researching what your kids are looking at, and maybe initiate a screen time so they're not getting so much electronic time and violent time in case they may stumble across something like that. However, it is a real world problem that is still trying to be fixed by all of these researches, and it's very complicated. Okay, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be doing an experiment on John Joseph on how video games affect his personality and his attention span. Say hi to the camera, Johnny. The first test we will be doing is an attention span test to see how good his attention is before playing the video games. Okay, can you follow my finger? Okay, next I'm going to have you sing the ABCs. Now for the final test, will you count to 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You're my sweetest.
Now, will you state your name, how old you are, and how you feel before playing the video game?
Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone.
I feel happy, and my name is John Lucas, and
Not Lucas.
my name is Johnny, and I don't know. I'm 4, and I'm happy.
Okay, can you tell me your name and your age?
Johnny.
Johnny. I said Johnny.
Okay, how old are you? What's your name? Johnny, can you sing the ABCs for me? Now can you count to 10?
1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, how do you feel after playing the video game?
Done.
Can you elaborate on that?
No.
Do you want to play the video game again?
No, I'm gonna have to take a shower when I'm done my cereal.
Okay, thank you. My personal opinion on video games is that it can diminish your attention span and cause you to be a bully and have violent thoughts and also be desensitized to some things. However, it can also be really good for you to let off steam and for entertainment. However, there's no real solution here, and I mean, it's honestly just do what you want to. It doesn't really matter.